Before we dive into today's video, just a quick note. The interview you're about to see is incredibly difficult to watch. Labor Minister Pat McFadden is put on the spot and intensely questioned by a news host. She directly asks him whether he believes first cousins should be allowed to marry in the United Kingdom. To my absolute shock, he refuses to give a clear answer. This ties back to Keir Starmer. Last week in Parliament, a Tory MP directly questioned him on whether he would lift the block preventing a vote on banning first cousin marriages in the UK. Starmer's response was nothing short of disgraceful, arrogant, and dismissive, showing he clearly supports allowing this practice to continue in the UK. Now, we're about to get into the interview, but fair warning, it's a tough watch. Before we do, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe for more British content. Now, take a look at this.
So Keir Starmer has indicated that Labour is going to block a legal ban on first cousins being able to marry in England and Wales. Why is that? Is the Prime Minister in favour of interbreeding?
Look, I'm not aware of him being so definite on that.
So you will block this?
I think these issues arise. I don't think we're going to adopt that position on this question.
Sorry, what position are you adopting on first cousins marrying? What position is Labour adopting on the issue of whether first cousins should marry in England and Wales? Should they or shouldn't they?
Well, I don't think we're planning a legal change on whatever the current position is on that at the moment. Not that I'm aware of.
So, at the moment, it's not legally banned for first cousins to marry in England and Wales, despite the obvious health implications of interbreeding. Richard Holden is suggesting a legal ban on first cousins marrying, and at the moment it looks like Labour might block that. Why? Labour cannot possibly be in favour of first cousins marrying, can they?
Well, I'm not aware of our plans to change the current law at the moment on that question. If we are planning to change the law, and I promise I'll come back on your programme and talk to you about it. But as of today, I'm not aware that we're planning a legal change on that issue.
OK, but do you think first cousins should be able to marry in England and Wales?
Well, as a minister, I'm not planning to change the law on that right now.
But Mr McFadden, what do you think? Should they be allowed to?
Then I'll come back on.
But should they be allowed to? It's a simple yes or no question. I don't think first cousins should be able to marry in England and Wales. What do you think?
You're the first person ever to ask me the question.
OK, so answer it.
When the government's got a position of changing the law, I'll happily come back and talk to you about it.
But what do you think? Do you think first cousins should be able to marry in England and Wales?
Well, that's the current law as it stands, I think. We're not planning to change the law on that. As far as I know, if there's a change in that and the government decides to change the law, then I'll happily come back on and talk to you about it.
OK, so you don't seem to be willing to answer that question.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, Keir Starmer is facing the most serious revolt of his leadership, as frustration within the Labour Party reaches a boiling point. With tensions rising and MPs prepared to push back, this rebellion could have major consequences, not just for Starmer's authority, but for the future direction of Labour itself. The Prime Minister has already shown he won't tolerate dissent, having taken action against rebellious MPs in the past. But this time, the stakes are even higher, and the scale of resistance is unlike anything he's faced before. Could this be the beginning of a major split within the party? Starmer is now confronting the most significant rebellion of his premiership as Labour MPs prepare to challenge his controversial benefits overhaul. His plan to take a sledgehammer to Britain's benefits bill has triggered widespread discontent, with 80 Labour MPs on the verge of a Commons revolt. The Prime Minister has already demonstrated a firm stance on internal opposition, stripping the whip from 7 Labour MPs last summer over their defiance on the two-child benefit cap. Now, in an effort to reallocate funds towards a £13.4 billion surge in defence spending, Starmer is once again putting party unity to the test. Dissent among Labour MPs has been growing, with one rebel MP telling The Telegraph that frustration is at a boiling point. The first thing they've said to me, after a few minutes of small talk, is that they're going to give the government a slap. They've had enough. They don't know what it will be, but they're at the end of their tether. They need to show their constituents they have their own brain and won't just accept everything blindly. While Starmer has seen a slight boost in the polls due to his handling of the Ukraine crisis, the same MP warned against overconfidence. The electorate is fickle, they cautioned, adding that this isn't going to be his fallen moment. The discontent goes beyond Labour's internal struggles. Reform UK is engulfed in its own leadership battle, but Labour MPs worry that disillusioned voters could drift toward either the Populist Party or the Greens, creating an additional electoral challenge. York Central MP Rachel Maskell has been particularly vocal about these concerns, warning that taking a sledgehammer to benefits is not the right approach. She and others fear that harsh welfare cuts could alienate Labour's core supporters, especially at a time when economic pressures are already squeezing households. Further complicating matters, proposed cuts to the Department for Work and Pensions budget have placed additional strain on Liz Kendall, the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. The government has already faced backlash for scrapping winter fuel payments and refusing to cover compensation for WASPy women, policies that have sparked public anger and could fuel further political turbulence. As tensions mount, the coming weeks will test Starmer's ability to navigate one of the most contentious battles of his leadership. With a major rebellion looming and voters increasingly unpredictable, the Prime Minister faces an uphill struggle to balance fiscal responsibility, party unity, and electoral appeal. What are your thoughts on today's discussion? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content.